All right, this is the 35th episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. I am your sometimes absent host, Aaron, and just allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. So, okay, I wasn't really planning on not putting out an episode when I needed to, but the thing about it, okay, I have an explanation. The time when I was supposed to record last time was the week of the election, and that doesn't have really anything to do with why I didn't record. I just wasn't feeling good that day, and I felt like if I got on the mic, I was about to start, emotional word vomiting, and that probably doesn't make for the best podcast content. So, no, we just was not in the headspace to be doing any podcasting on that day. And then the week after that, my mom was in town, and unfortunately, I was very busy. And also, you can't really tell from this framing, but my apartment is really small. And anytime my mom comes to stay with me for any amount of time, I am reminded of how small my apartment is because, maybe if one day I am able to afford to move out of this place, I'll do a little apartment tour and it'll last all of 5 minutes because there's really nothing to see. My apartment is so small. It truly is the perfect amount of space for one person, but then another person joins the mix and it's this is too cramped. And there's just no way for me to, sit on my couch and yap at my camera without, number one, my mom hearing everything. So, don't exactly want that. And also it's just, again, I was busy. So yeah, that's why I'm coming at you, 2 weeks later than I perhaps should, but, it is what it is. We're doing what we can. It's the holiday season, and people get busy and travel a lot and do things. And, I've been doing 2 out of the 3 of those, so there you go. But, like I said, the election happened. And we don't have to talk about it actually. And actually, let me rephrase that a little bit. I don't really want to get into it because I feel like I've had it's been 2 weeks now of getting into it, and it's I'm kind of weird to say that I'm over it because I'm not over it, but I'm over all of the analysis of it, and it's just this is a lot. But I will say one sentiment that I and many other people had kind of in the immediate aftermath of everything, and I posted an essay about it on jacksonunderground.com, which you can read now. It is blessedly, I think it's under 2,000 words, close to that, something like that. But I think for now, for, us regular folk, something that's going to be really important in the days and the weeks and the months and the years to come is going to be community, because things are going to get really bad, and life is probably going to be not great, especially looking at, all the people who are being appointed to secretarial positions. It's about to get stupid. It's about to get really stupid. And, we've kind of endured this already, but, during the first time, I was I was in college. I was in my senior year of high school and, the first few years of me being in college. So it's I am technically an adult, but I'm not, out in the world. But now I am older, and I am actually out in the world, which, by the way, when I was that age, people constantly telling me oh, you're not in the real world yet. Stupid. I still think it's a stupid sentiment to have. However, I will say this. Being in college and being working and paying rent and paying bills are 2 very different experiences. So I can see why people would say that, but I still don't agree with the you're not in the real world yet sentiment, because, you're alive. You are in the real world. You are having experiences that are real. And, adults downplaying that just kind of, it's infantilizing, and it doesn't help anyone, actually. So, yeah. But all that being said, being in college and being a working person, 2 very different vibes. So we're gonna see how this goes. I can't imagine it goes very well, but I can take solace in knowing that I'm not gonna be the only one who has to suffer. Everybody else is too, including the people who voted for this. they're going to suffer in ways that they probably didn't consider because they probably don't think that hard. Anyways, all of that aside, community is going to be very important. Also going to be very important that, I mean, what else can I say? Community is going to be very important in the coming days and weeks and months and years. And I'm hoping that, this, which is a weird thing to say, that anything positive could come out of this, but I hope, we can be kind of closer, on the other side of all of this, if that makes sense. And I'm just gonna kind of leave it there, because, we still have like 2 months, all of this month, all of December, and like most of January until anything like actually happens. So, we're kind of in the, I don't know how to describe it, the intermediate, the interstitial, the intermission, so to speak, I guess. So we have like a little bit of time, but anyways, come here. Okay, aside from all of that, I have my list. Aside from all of that, other things have been going on, most notably, and I'm gonna have to take off my headphones to go do this, but because it's over there. But it's better to just show it than to like talk about it. So I'm gonna show it. Just give me a minute. By the way, if you're only listening to the audio version of the podcast, you're only getting half the story. And I'm always going to say that because, there are some visual elements to this podcast sometimes. Enough dilly-dallying. I have returned, and I have an object, and I'm really hoping my mic stand isn't going to fall. I'm always fighting with this mic stand. It's crazy. But this thing that I have, I'm not going to lie, it's surprisingly heavy. And if you are watching the video version of the podcast, well, I mean, it's been spoiled already, but I have I have a guitar now, which is so crazy. Also, this thing is literally the same color as the sweater that I'm wearing, which honestly slay. But I got a guitar. there's nothing else to it. I got a guitar. It's purple, which is my favorite color. I will say I am more of like a lilac girly, like a lighter, more pastel purple, but purple is purple, and I will accept whatever I can get, especially considering I got this thing for free, so I'm not about to complain about the color of it. Hello. And also, they probably have things where you can, like, refinish the body of a guitar or something like that. I'm not about to do that because that sounds like it costs a lot of money. And as someone who now, I guess, is learning how to play the guitar, money is something that I'm not going to be acquainted with for a while. So, But the story of this is that I was at a show some time ago. I believe it was that Subtropolis show that was last month. And Lucy, who runs the Good Gigs Jackson account alongside me, or I really guess I should say I help her with it, because, it's a group effort, definitely, but she was there before I was. So, like, I'm still at this point just helping, but we were talking, and I was talking about going to thrift stores and things of the like, and I was like, if I go to a thrift store and I see a guitar for sale and it's like a reasonable price, I can't say I'm not gonna buy it, because it's been a while since I've been to like a proper like huge indoor flea market, because in my hometown there's like 3 of them, and they're all so dope. It's basically just like old J.C. Penney's and old grocery stores, just wall to wall of just stuff, and it's all for sale. And I remember going to a thrift store one time, and there was like a lot of sewing machines, and I really wanted to buy one, but I didn't, because I think this was at the point where I was like unemployed, so I had no money. Even if I did want to buy one, I wouldn't be able to. And weirdly enough, I now have a sewing machine and a guitar, which is crazy. I paid for the sewing machine, but this I got for free because, fun fact about Lucy, she is in the band Hammerin' the Tools, as well as a band from Memphis called Big Clown, which is amazing, by the way, and another solo project called DJ Jane Blank, which is like a analog tape noise type of thing. She plays the guitar for Hammerin' the Tools, and she is also left-handed. And the thing about being left-handed is that the world is stacked against you, sort of. But you have to, like, buy a left-handed guitar to play it left-handed. Or, I don't know, if you're just like that, you can learn how to play it right-handed, because I mean, there's really nothing about playing the guitar that's like, oh, my right hand intuitively wants to do this. Because, like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, before I actually, like, started learning, I always thought that you fretted with your dominant hand, but you don't. You strum with your dominant hand, which doesn't really make all that much sense to me, because I would think, your dominant hand has the most dexterity. Obviously, that's what you would use in the thing that requires the most dexterity, which is fretting, but like no. You use your left hand for that and you use your right hand for strumming. But anyways, I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. She is a left-handed guitarist. She plays left-handed guitar. And she purchased this instrument here on eBay. I believe the way that she was explaining it to me, it was kind of advertised as being a left-handed guitar, because if I can show you this, oh, please don't fall over. This is the headstock of the guitar, and as you can see, all of the tuning pegs are on, they're basically on the bottom. If I were to hold this the correct way, they would be facing the ground, whereas normally they would be on this side. And I think whoever was selling this, secondhand on eBay, was like, oh, the tuning pegs are on the other side. This is a left-handed guitar. No, that is not the case. As you can see from the shape of the body, which it's going to be really hard for me to show this because I'm really zoomed in on my camera, but as you can see from the shape of the body, this is a right-handed body, because, the plug thingy input is on the bottom where it should be, and the volume knob is like also on the bottom where it should be. And this says it's a Yamaha Pacifica, and I don't think, and Lucy doesn't think either, that this is a Yamaha Pacifica guitar. It's probably some kind of Franken creature. The neck might not be original to the body, which I had like a little guitar YouTube channel phase when I was unemployed. I was watching a lot of those like guitar pedal reviews, and as a result of that, I know that pretty much every part of this guitar is customizable. Like the pickups, you can change that. The neck, you can change that out. There's probably some electrical stuff on the inside that I don't really know much about that you can change out. So it's possible that the neck is not original to the body, or vice versa. And also, this is a solid body guitar. I know the difference between the two, between a hollow body and a solid body. And it's also pretty heavy, I'm not gonna lie. This is kind of, I mean, it's not like super duper heavy, but it has some heft to it. So, that's interesting. And so she was like, again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but as we were talking, she was like, oh, I have this guitar that's just been sitting under my bed for months. You can have it if you want. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, this is huge. Like, what do you mean I can just like have it? And she was like, yeah, you can come and get it, basically. And so one day I went over to her house and she showed it to me, and she's like, here you go. Thanks for taking it off my hands. And so all of a sudden I had a guitar. But the thing about it is that it needed to be restrung, because it was strung, left-handed. So this big thick string was on the other side. And all the other strings corresponded with that. And so she told me like, oh, you should go to, this local guitar store to get it restrung. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm really impatient. Like, I was gonna buy a lot of the stuff that I needed, which, I mean, it's mostly just an amp. I was gonna buy an amp secondhand, but honestly, that day, I left her house and I went to Guitar Center and I bought like $400 worth of stuff, which 350 of those dollars were the amp. Actually, no, it's just 300 of those dollars were the amp. But I was like, no, I have to do this like right now. And so I went to Guitar Center, I bought some picks, I bought a cable, I bought the amp, obviously. I bought some strings, because I didn't know if the strings that she had were like new or whatever. And also it needed to be restrung. And also, I can kind of differentiate between them now, obviously, because I've had some time like with this thing in my hands, and therefore I could sort of feel the difference. But at the time, I didn't really know, okay, if I did restring it, would I be able to put the right strings in the right place? So I was like, okay, I might as well just like go get brand new strings. and I figured out pretty easily how to restring it. There is this panel on the back here, which you can see it on camera. There's a panel on the back, you unscrew the screws, and that's how you access the strings. And there are like some wires back there, and also like some pieces of wood that were just like shoved back there, which I found weird. I put them back because I didn't know if they were like important or anything like that. Um, and so basically, take the strings out that way. Well, obviously, you have to unwind them from the head, and then you take them out. And I bought this tuner, this little thing right here that I have. It's one of the clip-on tuners. I mean, it was like $30, something like that. And I have since learned from the people that I know that play guitar that the clip-on ones probably aren't super great, and I probably want a tuner pedal at some point in the future, which that's gonna probably be a down the line purchase for me. Because again, I really am not trying to get too into pedals. But I got home with all of my things that I had paid for, and I had tried to, I restrung the guitar successfully, but I was trying to tune it. And something that I didn't know, because, I mean, I've been to a lot of shows. I've been up close and personal, and I've seen people playing the guitar, and I've seen people tuning their guitars on stage, but I don't know, maybe they didn't know either, because, I mean, it's not exactly intuitive. You see this, right? And, whoop, don't fall. And you see the clampy part, and you think, oh, we're tuning the strings. This needs to go on the fretboard. But I have since learned that this does not go on the fretboard. It goes on the head, which is this part. But it didn't say that anywhere on the box. There were, like, no instructions for this thing. Which, listen, I could have been just, like, too excited and, like, not looked for it. But on the outside, at least, I didn't find any instructions for this. It was just like, hey, here's your tuner. Figure it out, I guess. Or, I don't know, maybe you already know what you're doing. Because apparently you already own a guitar. So, therefore, you must know what you're doing. So, I don't know. But I made the mistake of clamping this little thing onto the fretboard up here, and as I was trying to tune my guitar, obviously it wasn't really, working, because it's not supposed to be up there, and I ended up over-tuning it, because I bought a little tuning tool, which is like a little thing that you crank, because, the tuning pegs, they move in increments, because, if you're tuning, maybe you only want to go up, like, half a note, and therefore you don't want to, like, overshoot that. So that's how that mechanism works. So I was tuning it with a little cranky thing, which also was my downfall, because I definitely shouldn't have done that. I should have just gone little by little and did it that way. But I ended up breaking 2 strings, and I was like, well, this sucks. So the first night that I had this, I couldn't even play it because I broke 2 strings. So I had to go to Guitar Center. When did I go? I think I went on my lunch break the next day to go to Guitar Center and buy like a 3-pack of strings just in case I broke them again. Thankfully I haven't, but now I have them, and that's nice. But now I have like an incomplete set because I only needed 2 strings. But yeah, and I guess I have this now. Clearly this was like pre-owned, it's got some scuffs on it. I mean, Lucy bought it on eBay, so like, yeah, you get what you get on the electronic bay. But I bought my amp new. You can't see it, but I'm touching it right here. I got the Boss Katana amp, and I decided on that one because, to me it didn't really seem like it cost that much. But also, when I was interviewing the members of the band Measureless Aeons, they were giving me kind of a walkthrough of their gear. And they had Boss Katana amps. They do perform with them, but I think they have some other like amps and heads that they perform with. Because Ansley, who is probably watching this, by the way, hello Ansley, but also Ansley, who's like, I don't know, I guess the main, I don't know if he's lead or rhythm. I think they kind of trade off, actually. I should know this. I literally asked them about this, but it has been a few months. But I would say he's the main guitarist in the band. And I'm sure he will correct me in the comments. But he was telling me that, he used to have like this ginormous pedal board, a bunch of pedals on it, And, he decided to downsize and got it. And this isn't paid advertising, by the way. I don't know if I have to say that, but this is not paid advertising. I'm not being paid to say this, but, if Boss wants to, like, give me some stuff, I know they have a tuner pedal. If you want to send it to me, I'm here. I have an email. We can negotiate. But it has all of the effects in the amp itself. So basically, there's like a bunch of knobs here, and you can do different things with them. There's like there's overdrive, there's distortion, there's a delay effect, there's reverb on it. I'm looking over here, and also the amp itself has like different settings that I'm not 100% sure what they do, but I have it on lead right now. And then there's like an equalizer with like bass, treble, and middle. And yeah, I mean there are a bunch of different effects like programmed into this amp, and I'm not 100% sure how to access them, but whatever's like the default is kind of enough for me, because really realistically, for the kind of music that I want to play and have sort of been learning to play, all I really need is like some distortion and some overdrive, and like that's it. But there's also an octave setting, but I think that's like it's in a different like effects bank, and I don't really know how to get to that. But there is software for this amp that I haven't even really looked into. So maybe at some point one day I'll look into that. And also one thing is that you can save effects as well. And there's like a switcher pedal that I did not buy because I think I sort of naively thought it would come with it. It does not come with it. It's sold separately. So at some point I'm gonna maybe want that switcher pedal. But I will say this, as for right now, as someone who learned how to play one chord and then forgot how to play it and then learned how to play a different chord, and I think I still know how to play it. Okay, I do still know how to play it. This is E minor, I think. Yes. Because, I mean, it's easy to play. It's literally 2 fingers on 1 fret. And also as someone who knows how to play one song, but I only know how to play that one song because that one song, from the tabs that I found, the rhythm section is literally played like on the lower 3 strings, and that's literally it. As of right now, I think my main goal is to just learn how to play it. I guess that would be learning some chords, and also, learning how to switch between strings, because that's still kind of hard for me. And obviously, I want to learn how to play my favorite songs, but the hard thing about that is that because I am just, a prog enjoyer, a lot of the songs that I like and that I would want to learn how to play, number one, they're on 7 strings. So, like, this is a 6 string. This is just a standard 6 string guitar. So, I'm going to have to, wait to get a 7 string. I have to learn how to play the 6 string before I can even think about getting a 7 string. And also, aside from being played on a guitar that I do not own, they're kind of complicated. I'm not gonna lie, they're a bit much. It's probably going to be a few years before I ever learn a Periphery song, or definitely an Animals as Leader song. Like, that's way down the line. And so I'm just sticking to some stuff that is a little bit easier for me right now. The one song that I do know how to play and can play it sort of from memory, I do kind of still have to look at the tabs. I'm looking down here because I have the tabs printed out right here, 3 pages of them. Is the song "This Is the House That Doubt Built" by A Day to Remember. And I was just kind of going through, because the first song that I wanted to learn how to play was Out of Time. And I've only been, learning the rhythm sections of like all the songs that I've attempted to learn. Because when I was, again, this is back when I think this is back when I was unemployed. I was at home when this happened, so I must have been unemployed. But, back then, this is not my first foray into guitaring. When I was like 5 years old, I asked my parents for a guitar for Christmas, and I did get a guitar, but it was like a Barbie guitar, and it was like a toy guitar. And I remember feeling indignation at this because, number one, when I was a kid, I did not play with dolls, and I certainly did not play with Barbies. The only dolls that I played with were Polly Pockets. I don't know why they made the cut and not Barbies, but I was vehemently against playing with dolls when I was a young child. And the fact that my parents would think to get me, number one, not a real guitar, and number two, a Barbie guitar when I was 5. It was like, I didn't cry about it. I remember not crying about it. Okay. I was very brave. I was a very brave 5-year-old. But I did let them know, like, I wanted a real guitar, not a toy guitar. Because it was one of those Barbie guitars where, I mean, it had like strings on it, but you plug the string and like a little track plays out of the speakers. And it was like, it was okay, but it was not, it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted an actual guitar. And I, for the life of me, don't know why I wanted a guitar at that point in my life at like 5 years old. Like, I don't remember seeing anybody who played the guitar, or, there's nobody in our family that played the guitar that I knew of anyways at the time. They weren't, I don't think they were offering lessons at my school. The only instrument lessons that they were offering at my school were piano lessons, which my mom asked me if I wanted to take, piano lessons when I was around that age. And I told her no. And I remember telling her no because, I didn't want it to be yet another thing that I was just like forced into doing because, at the time and up until I was like 13 years old, I did dance. I took dance classes. I did ballet, tap, jazz, and eventually lyrical. And I hated it the entire time. I did that from the age of 2 years old to 13, so a pretty good chunk of my life was spent doing something that I actively hated. And even at that age, I did not want to back myself into a corner of doing something that I hated just because my mom wanted me to again. So I was like, no, I'm saying no to piano lessons. And thankfully, she actually listened to me. Maybe not thankfully, because learning how to play any instrument probably would be cool. Would be nice. Well, I mean, I guess I am learning now, but, as an adult, you have a lot less time, but, those parental expectations, they were kind of a lot. I'm not gonna lie. They were a bit much. So, that's why I ended up saying no. But, yeah, very random of me at 5 years old to be like, hey, I want a guitar. But, after the Barbie guitar incident, though, at Christmas, which there was no incident, but, eventually, and I remember this very vividly because I thought it was kind of strange, but I remember one night I was, like, in bed, and I was, like, drifting off to sleep, and my dad comes in my room, and he shows me that he bought me, like, a real, and I'm putting real in quotation marks, because, he bought me a real guitar, and, next to my bed is this, like, it's a First Act acoustic guitar, which, if you know anything about First Act, they're, like, instruments made for children, and they're kind of not great. It was an acoustic guitar, right? And, if you know anything about guitars and instruments, an actual acoustic guitar probably at the time would have been as tall as I was and about as big as I was. So, probably wouldn't have been, also probably would have cost like a lot of money versus like a First Act guitar, which was, I don't know how much it cost actually. I would assume less than an actual acoustic guitar, but he bought that for me. And, I wanted to learn how to play it, but, I'm 5 and I can't really teach myself how to play the guitar like I can now. So I just never learned how to play it. And that thing has been with me. It's not with me now. It's back home in my, I guess I can say at this point in my life now, my childhood bedroom, which is crazy to think about because, I was living in there like 3 years ago. So it's not quite my childhood bedroom, but my old bedroom. It's still there. It's in the corner of my room. I can close my eyes and see its exact location. And yeah, I just never learned how to play it, was never offered lessons for it, and it just kind of sat there. But back when I was in my unemployment era, and I was, really into watching guitar videos and people reviewing like crazy guitar pedals and stuff like that. I was like, man, what if I gave this like another try? Like, the old college try. And the thing about that guitar is that, number one, it's not, it's a guitar, but it's not, it's not great. It's not great. It's not a great instrument. It's fine for like a 5-year-old, but first of all, the action on it, I don't know if this is different, but with like acoustic versus electric, but you're not going to be able to see this very well, but I'm going to try to explain it. So the action is basically the distance between the strings and the neck. And let me tell you, there's probably about a half an inch. That's a lot. Probably a quarter of an inch of space between the strings and the neck on that guitar. And I've experienced it now because, yeah. But trying to make chords on that guitar was like actually painful. And I mean, a few nights ago, I was trying to, learn chords on this thing, and my index finger still feels weird. So that's something I have to look forward to, getting calluses on my hands. Which, I mean, in the long run, it's only going to help me be better. But also, I don't know how I'm going to cope with, like, having less tactile ability in my fingers, because I'm a kind of person that approaches the world, like, hands first. Like, I really don't like wearing bracelets. I mean, I wear a smartwatch, but that's like, it doesn't like move around a whole lot. I don't like wearing rings. I don't like having things on my hands. And I certainly don't like having things wrong with my hands. Cause like, I can still feel the like numbness on my index finger. And it's kind of weirding me out. I'm not gonna let that stop me, but it is somewhat disconcerting that eventually just like the fingers on my left hand are just gonna like go numb. Don't know how I'm gonna cope with that, but I guess I'm gonna cope with it by being able to shred. So I think it might be an okay trade-off. And also just the knowledge that I'm probably never gonna have long nails again, at least not on this hand, which is crazy because my left hand is like my pretty hand. Like when I paint my nails, they always come out great on my left hand, and the shape on my left hand is like always better than the shape on my right hand because it's my non-dominant hand. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I have to resign myself to a life of short nails and numb fingertips. But if I can just play my little songs, then fine, whatever. It's a trade-off that I'm willing to make, I guess. Um so yeah, I've been learning. I'm not going to plug it up because my amp is unplugged and I don't feel like getting up to plug it. And also because I was learning chords. I think this is in standard tuning. I can't tell. I can't really tell. I can't, pick it out by ear. I feel like, if I hear something, like, I was trying out a couple of apps after the whole string breaking incident with my tuner. I was, looking at a couple of different like tuning apps, and like I feel like I could tune by ear just given the note, to listen for. I could do it that way, but just like not knowing what to listen for. I'm fairly certain this is on standard tuning because actually I don't know why. I mean, it might not be. Who knows? Anyways, I'm gonna put this here out of frame because I'm tired of having this on my lap. But yeah, I guess I'm a guitar girly now. Okay, this is gonna slide. We're gonna do you like that. There you go. Lay down. I couldn't really tell, but my hack that I thought up for because I have been learning tabs. Hello, here are my tabs. You can't really tell, but if you look up tabs, you're gonna see it's like very pared down musical notation, and the numbers on them correspond to the fret numbers. And I was trying to like sort of memorize the fret numbers because there's like dots on the side of the fretboard that are supposed to denote like the third, the fifth, and like the other frets, but I just couldn't remember that. So what I've taken to doing is I have a dry erase marker, like one of the thin ones, and I just wrote the numbers on the side. And that like helps a lot actually, especially if you're like learning, like that's sufficient. And I do kind of want a somewhat semi-permanent solution to that, like labels or something like that. But I don't want to, if I do end up doing that, it's really not going to matter. It is my instrument. So it's like I could do whatever I want. I could put it in permanent marker, but also I do kind of want to not mess up the finish, but whatever. That's been my life hack for learning tabs. It's just writing the fret numbers on the side of the neck, and that helps tremendously actually. So yeah, I will say at this point I have zero plans to either form or be in a band. Like, I'm just gonna throw that out there right now. And listen, anything could change. But I don't know. There's just something about like having to practice and like, performing and like traveling. I don't like traveling. Like it's a lot. Being in a band sounds really involved in a way that I don't really want to be right now. I like going to shows, and pretty much every time I've gone to a show since I've started learning the guitar, it's made me want to learn even more because, I was paying attention to, how the guitarists were like actually playing, when I would go to shows, but now I'm like actually paying attention. Like I'm looking at how they're fretting, I'm looking at how they're picking, I'm looking at all of that because I want to try to osmosize some knowledge. I spent a lot of time watching makeup videos back when YouTube was like only just a little bit dramatic. This is pre-Dramageddon, and I feel like from that I picked up, despite the fact that I don't really wear makeup all that much, I did still pick up a lot of like techniques and knowledge and stuff like that. I don't know if I could do the same for the guitar, but that's not gonna stop me from trying. So if you see me at a gig and I'm staring at your hands when you're playing the guitar, I'm just trying to steal your techniques and all of your knowledge. And it might work, it might not. It probably won't, to be completely honest. But yeah. However, I will say this. Since I have, started playing and like I started posting clips on Instagram, on my Instagram stories, and people, first of all, have been like so nice about it, like so encouraging, been giving me like tips and stuff like that. And for that, I am so thankful. Like, I love that people apparently love that I'm trying to learn how to play. So, that has been a very nice experience. 2 thumbs up on that one. But yeah, I will say my 3 goals, because I have 3 goals for playing the guitar, is number 1, I want to learn how to play by ear. And I don't think I'm tone deaf, so I think this is an attainable goal. Because I can sort of sing by ear, but I have to like listen to it like a bunch of times. And also, I've never sung in front of people except for like in school and like the one time we had a karaoke night when I was in high school with like my friends. And I feel like I've gotten way better since then. But I have no confirmation that I'm actually a good singer because nobody has heard me. So who knows if I'm just in my delulu about that. But, I can sort of sing by ear. I feel like given that information, once I like actually familiarize myself with, okay, what hand placements make what noises on this contraption, I could probably go from there. Because, there was no really specific way that I taught myself how to sing. It was just like listening and doing it, and it started sounding good. And I have no confirmation that's actually good because nobody's heard me, and I'm not gonna let anybody hear me. So, yeah, we're just gonna pretend that I am decent. It might be in my head. I might be in my delulu, and you know what? I'm okay being in my delulu about it because nobody can hear me. Am I James Charles? What a crazy statement to make. What am I James Charles? Anyway, we're gonna move past that. But okay, so one of my 3 goals is to learn how to play by ear. Another one is to learn how to sing and play at the same time. Because let me tell you, when I was learning how to play this song, I was trying, and it was really hard, actually. It's very hard because in your brain, you're trying to do 2 things at the same time. Because you're trying to make musical notes with one thing and musical notes with another thing, but they're 2 different musical notes, and you want them to sync up, but they can't because they're not the same. That doesn't make any sense, but basically, it's harder than it looks. It's a lot harder than it looks, and so I certainly commend the people who can do both of those because, good lord, that's a lot. That's a lot of brain power. You're like rewiring your brain to be able to do this, so goodness. And another thing is that I do eventually want to play 7-string. Like, I do really want to play 7-string. And I have learned because, originally I was like, I could probably not play 7-string. Like, the necks, they're so thick in my hands, they're so little. But the thing about that is that the only thing that's actually kind of hampering me, with my little tiny baby hands, is that I can only span like 3 frets, which is upsetting. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of upsetting. Because, like, I was looking at the tabs for this one song. I can't even remember what song it was, but it wanted one finger to be on the 7th fret and the other finger to be on the 4th fret. And I'm like, what? Like, what kind of big Robert Wadlow hands do you have to be able to do that? And it's like, I think I can only span like 3 frets. Because, like, okay, if we're using my pinky, we're gonna put it on the 7th. And, okay, maybe I'm wrong, actually. I just went from the 7th to the 3rd. So I can definitely go from the 7th to the 4th. Huh. I think I just proved myself wrong. Never mind. Okay, well, oops. I have the hand span for it, so never mind. Scratch that. I don't think adding like another, I don't know, what, half an inch to the width of the fretboard is really going to affect me really at all. But I think what I want, because, all the prog girlies have, their own like signature Ibanez. I don't want like somebody's signature Ibanez, because I feel like that's just gonna cost extra for like no reason. But I would like to at some point purchase a 7-string Ibanez guitar. I think I would like it, because that's what all the prog girlies are playing, and I want to be a prog girly. I want to be a prog girly. And yeah, those are my hopes and dreams for the guitar. Who knows if I will achieve them, considering I've spent a not insignificant amount of money doing it. And also the fact that I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. I probably am gonna continue doing it. I like playing the guitar, even, if it is just the one song that I know how to play. Once I got that down, like got all of the, fretting down for that, which again, it's played on the 3 lowest strings, so it's like really easy. But once I like sort of kind of memorized the frets that I should be playing, it felt really good. And then playing it all together for the first time and playing along with the song felt really good. And that is a feeling that I would like to replicate. So I think for that reason, I'm gonna continue. And also, it's not, that's not the only thing I can play. I can also play the beginning intro part to, not the intro, but like the main rhythmy part to The Sadness Will Never End by, what the heck is the name of that band? Bring Me the Horizon. Where's my pick? It's over here somewhere. Where is my pick? Oh, here it is. I will try to demonstrate. Well, first of all, it's not plugged in, and it's also not in tune, so don't expect this to like sound good, but just kind of... I said I wasn't going to play this, but here I am. But, this isn't going to sound correct or right, because number 1, not in tune, number 2, not plugged in. But, this already doesn't sound good, but the that part of that song, that's the only thing I can play, because that's playing on like 1 string. So that's pretty easy. But once I master the art of switching strings with my fingers, it'll be over for all of you. So, and also one thing I've been sort of kind of considering is that, do I want to take lessons? Do I want to pay for lessons? That's the thing. I do want to take lessons. I do want to take guitar lessons, because I've always learned how to do things way better in like a classroom environment. And I don't know if I want to be like with a bunch of other people. I probably would want it to be one-on-one. But, I just don't want to pay for it. But I can ask my parents. Christmas is coming up, and if they could, just actually give me something that I ask for one year. Funny concept, I know. But if they could do that, then that would be nice, actually, if they could pay for my lessons. I'm still at the age and also the income level that asking my parents to pay for things isn't like weird. So they're both working. My mom is technically retired, but she also still works for some reason. She doesn't have to. I guess she gets bored. I don't know. And my dad works. and is the breadwinner out of all four of us. I make the least amount of money out of the four people in my family, which predictable, but I did choose to be the artsy kid, so that was going to resign me to a lifetime of not making a lot of money. So, it's a prison of my own making. But I don't know, I'm gonna have to ask them about that. I haven't talked to my mom this weekend. So we'll see. If I remember to do it, that is. Alright. There's like a few things on this list, and I'm only on number 2, but we'll get through them. Since the last podcast episode, there have been a few shows that I've been to that have been nice. The day after the election, I went to Urban Foxes to see this musician, or I guess a duo, I forgot where they're from, called Micah Schnabel, and the other person's name I've forgotten, but worry not, because I have a calendar where I put all of these things. Okay, that's not it. Nope. Micah Schnabel and Vanessa Jean Speckman. I totally forgot where they're from, but they're like I don't really know how to explain the kind of music that they make, but it's kind of folksy, it was fun. I will say that. It was fun, and it was panacea to the soul after what happened that previous day. I guess that day, because that was when, anyways. It was nice. There weren't a whole lot of us there. But I honestly kind of I can only say this because I've never been the one performing, because if I was ever the one performing, I would probably hate this. But I kind of like shows where there's only like a handful of people there. It feels really intimate. Like, we're all just like chilling. It's like really cozy. It was a sitting down show. We were all sitting on the floor, and I'm not gonna lie, sitting on the floor is so easy when you're a child. Like, I was on the floor at all times as a kid. Now, I need a chair. Like, my leg was like going numb. My butt was hurting. Like, how do you sit on the floor for hours as a kid? I don't get it. That and like kneeling. I'm just not built for it anymore. It's difficult. It's just a weird thing to say, but it was. So that was that show. Let me see. There was another one after that. There's been a few that I've been to. But I guess I'll talk about the one that I actually booked. That was, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not tired of it, because like I still really enjoy it, and I really like doing it, but I'm definitely gonna scale back next year, because I feel like when I first started booking shows, I was just like accepting anything, and it's like I can't do that anymore. But a band out of Hattiesburg called Skin Man, they played in Jackson in July, and this was like right after I started helping with the Good Gigs Jackson account, and it was there. There was a fun show. I'm trying to remember it, but I legitimately can't. But not long after that, I want to say like the next day or like that next week, they reached out to me to book another show that would be last week, or was that the week before last? Yes, last week, last Wednesday, November 13th. And it was really easy too, because they were like, okay, we want to come back. We want to play at this venue, and we want these two bands to support us. And I was like, say less. Let me see what I can do. And so I set all of that up with everything that they wanted, and it was fine up until like a month, or not even, a few weeks before the show, where like both of the supporting bands dropped out. And I'm still, on the one hand, it's like, I want to know because I'm nosy, but on the other hand, I kind of don't care. Both of the bands dropped out for reasons, and so I had to find two other bands to fill in. Thankfully, I was able to. They did an amazing job. And of course, Skin Man did an amazing job. Had a great time. I took pictures at that show, but I still haven't gotten around to editing them. Oopsie daisy. And also, it was like pouring down rain that day, and like my entire like left leg was like wet. And I also found out that my umbrella has a hole in it, so I got rained on. Drove through torrential downpours, made it to the Sunflower Oven and had a great show despite all of that. So it ended up being worth it in the end, but gosh, I don't know. Just it was a lot there for a second. So yeah. That was that show. Love Skin Man, by the way. Love all the bands in Hattiesburg, even though I've only seen a few, maybe like three. But I will say this, for Mississippi being, Mississippi, for there to be like three separate music scenes in the state is kind of crazy because you have all the Vicksburg bands, which is basically like 10 people in like five different bands. Wait, that doesn't make sense. It's a handful of people and a handful of bands, and they're all in like two or more bands in Vicksburg, but they're all great. In fact, before I forget, they have a well, it's not just them. It's actually a lot of Vicksburg musicians, but there is this thing called the FTK Fest, the For the Kids Fest, which is a toy drive, and I think they might be also accepting monetary donations. But basically, all of the like heavy bands out of Vicksburg are going to be there performing, as well as some other bands. It's a great cause. I hope they get bigger media attention because that is kind of a pretty big deal. So far I've only seen like one article about it in the Vicksburg newspaper, I think. And I mean, I'm yapping about it here, but only like 5 people are gonna see this, so, gotta do what I can. I'm doing my part. And so, what was I saying? They're having a festival there to raise money and toys, to collect toys for children. It's for a great cause. It's this Saturday, and I was considering going. However, I'm literally going to be in Atlanta, so no, it's a little far. Can't really drive back and forth, especially considering I'm taking a plane to Atlanta, so that's not exactly a option. But really fun. Probably gonna be vendors and food. And so I'm not doing a very good job at it. Like, anyway, there's going to be a fest. It's the FTK Fest. It's going to be in Vicksburg. Back to what I was saying. I think it's great that despite Mississippi being, honestly, Mississippi landmass wise is pretty big, but if you've ever been in Mississippi, you'll know that majority of that is like farmland or like forests. So it's like, despite being so big, the population of Mississippi is like 2 million. But Mississippi's not exactly known for its metal, hardcore, and punk music, but I really think Vicksburg is making a name for it, not Vicksburg, Hattiesburg is making a name for itself in that sphere, because there are a decent amount of Hattiesburg bands. I mean, the one that I can think of off the top of my head that I think has some like outside of Mississippi appeal is MS Paint. I think they're like in like a decently sized music festival like earlier this year. I think I saw that. And they've been to Jackson a couple of times, but the 2 times that they've been here, I wasn't there to see them, and I kind of regret it because I feel like I should have. I should have been there, but I wasn't. I'm sorry. And who knows? Maybe I will make I don't know how long it takes to get to Hattiesburg, but I think it's like an hour and a half. Maybe I will make the hour and a half drive to Hattiesburg and from Hattiesburg, which I can do Vicksburg. Vicksburg is like less than an hour. Hattiesburg, you gotta take like a friggin' 2-lane highway to get down there. And not in this time of the year. There's deers out. They're like in the roads and stuff, which weirdly, despite it being, mid-November, I haven't really seen like any deer. Of course, I'm not really driving after dark, like on the interstate or anything like that, but I really haven't seen any, like not even any like dead on the side of the road. It's like deer season though. Anyways, and of course Jackson has its own little scene, but I find it very cool that Mississippi has like 3 distinct musical hubs for heavy music. And, I know North Alabama has like some stuff going on. I don't know about any other sections of Alabama. The metro Atlanta area has a lot going on. And of course, Tennessee has an interesting amount, like in Murfreesboro, which honestly, the only thing that I know about Murfreesboro is that the Tony Danza tap dance extravaganza is from there, but there's like a decent amount of like punkier type of music that comes out of like that area and like Memphis. Weirdly, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because like Tennessee, they got Nashville. There's like that's all country and like Cadillacs and things of that nature. So I guess it makes sense that Memphis has something like that, and I would imagine there's probably something like that in Nashville. I don't know about Knoxville. Y'all got stuff going on in Knoxville? Let me know. But I do definitely know Memphis and Murfreesboro, which actually I think Murfreesboro might be outside of Nashville. Where is Murfreesboro? Let me see. Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It is. I don't know. I can't tell. Where is this? This is Murfreesboro. No. Well, I mean, it's outside of Nashville, but I don't know if people would consider that the Nashville metro. I'm sure Nashville has a metro area, but it looks pretty far out to me, in my opinion. So, yeah. I love all the like little regional scenes. And segue, I'm going to get to experience one of those regional scenes this Friday because like I said, I'm going to, and like I have been saying, I'm going to Atlanta, Hotlanta, to see Animals as Leaders for the Joy of Motion 10 tour. I got the VIP. Yes, I will be there. I will be seated, except I will be standing because it's standing room only. Very excited about that, but I'm also excited because I was just to be tapping along on my Instagram stories one day, and there's this band called Chora, which I think it's Chora and not Cora. I think it's Chora. I've heard it spoken once. Actually, no, that's not true. I heard it spoken at the show that they were at here. Which, did I talk about that? I don't know. There was a show, they were here, Chora plus Autolith plus... I'm trying to remember who else was. Big Clown, which I mentioned before, and a solo artist called Loki Faded. I think that was it. I think Autolith is also from Tennessee. I'm not sure where, but Chora is from Memphis. And they are like this, like, doom something. They're doom, and then there's something else. I don't know what something else is, though. But they're from Tennessee. They have one EP out called, I feel like I should know what it's called because I've been listening to it nonstop since then, but I don't because my brain has a lot less RAM these days. There Lies a Friend I once knew. I have the tape. It's on my tape shelf. My tape shelf is a little bit overcrowded. I'm gonna need another tape shelf at some point, but I have the tape. It's on the shelf. I have a magnet too, and I have a sticker. They're both... the magnet's on my fridge. The sticker is not on my sticker wall. It's just on my end table because I need to put another thingy up so I can extend the sticker wall. But yeah, they came to Jackson a couple of weeks ago, and I was tippy-tapping through my Instagram stories, and I saw that they're going to be in Atlanta when I'm going to be there. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. Because number one, I love Chora. I was like... First of all, I asked Lucy, like, where did you find these people? And apparently she's, like, friends with them, I guess, which, Memphis, you're in a Memphis band, you get to know the other Memphis bands. It makes sense. And I'm like, I gotta get them back as soon as possible. Like, I need them here. I need them back again. Because I feel like, as far as, like, heavier music goes, there could be a lot more going on here, in my opinion. And honestly, the opinion of others. I feel like I've heard the sentiment that there's not really a lot for, like, heavy music here in Jackson, unless they're like, out of towners. And so, I want them to come back, but I will get an opportunity to see them because they will be in Atlanta on the 22nd, and the Animals as Leaders show is on the 23rd. It's on that Friday, but I probably have talked about this before, but when I bought my plane ticket, right, to go to Atlanta, I got a flight that was 9:30 in the morning. And then I got a little email not long after that saying like, hey, we changed your flight. it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. And I'm like, okay, this is not acceptable. I can't do that. Like, that's not nearly enough time. And like, what if it gets delayed? What if I have to wait? I'm going to miss the show. I don't want to miss the show. So I changed my flight to Friday. So I'm going to be there a day earlier. And this time it is an afternoon flight, but it literally doesn't matter. Because, I mean, the thing that I'm going there for isn't until the next day. So what else? And, I had to extend my hotel stay, but that's like, whatever, it's whatever. So it's like, oh, it'd be nice to see a local show somewhere other than Jackson, because, I've been to a lot of shows here, obvi, but I really want to know what, like, the local scenes are like in other places. I want to do a little bit of recon. I want to see what they got going on. And okay, that's not necessarily true. I mean, I've been to a show in Vicksburg, but, like, I feel like the Vicksburg and the Jackson, there's some overlap there, so it's not, like, that separate. I've never been to a show in Hattiesburg. I would like to go to a show in Hattiesburg. And how could I forget about Oxford? I'm so sorry, Oxford. I almost forgot about y'all. I'm not gonna lie, though. Oxford is, like, a little bit farther, and I don't know how willing I would be to go to Oxford to see a show. Hattiesburg, sure. Oxford, I would have to think about it. If I could stay somewhere for free, then, like, maybe. But, like, what's the likelihood of that happening? Not very high. So, I want to go to shows in, like, other little places. I want to go, to a little local show in Memphis. I want to see what they got going on in North Alabama. I want to see what they got going on in New Orleans. I feel like a lot of these places, aside from Memphis, I haven't really found, like, a DIY page for them. There is one, but it's not, like, active. And I don't know why that is. I feel like there should be one, because there's a lot of bands in Memphis. So I feel like they should have things going on. But I don't know, maybe not. But, there are a lot of Jackson bands that perform in Memphis. So I feel like, there's a lot of cultural exchange between the two cities. I want to see what they got going on. And so Friday, I will see what they got going on. Assuming, Southwest doesn't piss me off and gets me where I need to go on time. So, that'll be fun. I'm not gonna lie. Doing a little recon, seeing how they do things over there. Like, what are the crowd sizes like? Just, like, checking out other places. I think it'll be fun. And of course, I've said this a bajillion times, but I'm so stoked to see Animals as Leaders again for the Joy of Motion. Like, I'm very happy about that. Ooh, I'm so excited. Gosh, ooh, yes. I sometimes I forget about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna see Animals as Leaders soon. Like, that's gonna slay so hard. Like, yeah, I'm geeked. Another thing that I have been geeked for, I feel like I need a drink. Okay, I have hydrated myself. Another thing that I am excited for, I feel like this just went down. Come on, don't do this to me. Another thing that I'm excited for is I was wondering when this goddamn album was going to come out for some time now, but Eidola, they put out a new single last Friday, or I guess, okay, as you were watching this last Friday. It's called The Faustian Spirit. It is the first single from Mend, which is going to be their final album. They're calling it quits after this. And that album is coming out in January, I think January 17th, and I'm so ready for it. I've been listening to the single a lot. I will say this, I have found, especially on Eviscerate and The Architect, that the singles, aside from, like, Mutual Fear on The Architect, that one went pretty hard, but the singles on those albums were kind of weak compared to the B-sides. So considering I do like The Faustian Spirit, I mean, I just said I've been listening to it a lot, I think I'm gonna like this album. I think I'm gonna like it a lot. Ooh, I'm so ready. I'm so ready. But also, I'm kind of sad. I feel like, I wish I would have gotten into them in, like, I don't know, 2015, but also, I don't know if I would have been into Eidola in, like, 2015, which I think that's when To Speak to Listen came out. I don't think I would have been into that. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I was listening to Fall Out Boy at the time, and so, I don't think I would have, I don't know if I would have liked it. Fall Out Boy and A Day to Remember, I don't think I would have been into it, but You know, they have a pretty decent body of work. The only album of theirs that I haven't really listened to is like their first two. Because I think To Speak to Listen is. I'm not looking it up. I don't care that much. Okay, I do care. But I feel like I spend a lot of time looking things up, and that's not helpful at all. But, anyways, I feel like there's still some of their discography for me to discover. That's the point that I'm trying to make, because they have, I think, 2 albums that I haven't even really listened to, and I might like them a lot. You know? So, I'm ready to get into it. After this last album comes out, it would have been nice to see them on tour at some point, because I think it was the last time that Periphery went on tour, which I would also like to see them on tour before they inevitably call it quits within my lifetime. But it's Periphery and Eidola touring together. And I was like, oh my god, this is heartbreaking. The fact that I had to miss that, but you know, Periphery being Periphery, they go on tour and they go to like 5 cities, and that's like it. And you know, that's fine. Like, I'm not really mad at that, but at some point, if Periphery ever goes on tour in 2025, which there's been no indication as to that. However, 2025, that's a 10-year anniversary for the Juggernaut albums. So maybe, it's possible. I don't know how possible, but there's a percentage. It might could happen. So if they ever go on tour for the, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, 2024 is almost over. I'm giving up on Everchanger 10th anniversary tour. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen. Like, it's almost December. It's just not gonna happen. I hate to say it. I really do. You know, Ben English coming back and like teasing things, you know, that I opened myself up to heartbreak, and that's only my fault. So, but I can hold out hope for Juggernaut 10th anniversary, because that would be next year. So yeah, it might happen. And if it does, I'm buying the plane ticket and I'm buying the VIP. Like, those legitimately are up there with like my all-time favorite albums. And I feel like I say this about more than like 10 albums, so they can't all be top 10, but I feel like Periphery, Juggernaut, both of them, but I would say mostly Alpha, they're definitely up there for my favorites. And who just texted me? Okay. And if I can see them perform those live, I'm not even gonna die. I'm just gonna get snatched up to heaven like Enoch in the Bible. That's a deep cut for all the Bible girlies out there. You know, I actually don't know if is that a deep cut? I don't know. You know, there's only like a handful of people in the Bible who like get plucked up directly to heaven. I'm pretty sure Enoch is one of them. Or Elijah. That's what I'm thinking of. Elijah with a J, not Elisha with a SH. Yeah. That's what's gonna happen to me. I'm just gonna not even die. My mortal form will ascend up into a heaven that I don't even believe in. So, you know, that's how good it's gonna be, you know? Man, I would like it if that, well, okay, not the getting plucked up in heaven part, but Periphery touring for Juggernaut's 10th anniversary, that would be nice. That would be cool. Periphery, if you're watching, I know you're not, but if you are, consider the following for your consideration. Okay, what's on this list? Okay, so today's Sunday, and it is 5:30, and I actually have to go soon, but tonight, one of the gigs that I have been looking forward to for quite some time now, a gig that I got to book, which, sweet, Careful Gaze from Minneapolis. They were, I think, like the second show that I ever saw here in Jackson. Yes, I think so. They're coming back, and I got to book them, and I feel very special about it. And I'm not gonna lie, we were very close to them not being here, because they were having some van troubles. They got broke down in Texas, and I was like, because I've been, you know, in the group chat with everyone else and also the person who runs the venue. being like, okay, we gotta find another band, which bands dropping out is like, that is maximum agita for me, because it's a lot. It's a lot. That's all I can say. And like, listen, for the people watching, like, okay, if your band drops out, there's really nothing I can do about that. All I can do is just find another one. There's a very simple solution to this, and it's I find another band. But it's still, and I'm not like blaming bands for dropping out. If you have to drop out, you just gotta drop out. Like, that really is all there is to it. And honestly, I am pretty much always understanding of the situation where a band has to drop out. It's like, I get it. A lot of these people, I would say all of these people, are doing this as like not even a secondary, like a tertiary type of thing. And like other stuff comes first. It's like, but them being broke down in Texas, like they had to cancel their show in Dallas that was supposed to be last night, which it was Saturday night. So I'm like, dang, but they were able to get their van fixed. And so they're going to be here tonight, and I'm going to watch them, and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to sing along to Teach. And I thought about taking pictures, but I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. So it'll be lit. It'll be lit. And yeah, hopefully they'll come back next year. Who knows? I would hope so, so yeah, I'm very happy about that. But like I said, it's now 5:33 and doors open. Well, the show starts at 7, which, that's 1.5 hours from now. So, I have a little bit of time, but I take forever to do things. So, I have to give myself extra time to do things. So, is there anything else on this list? I don't think so. Yeah. Anyway, that is gonna be the 35th episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I have been your grateful host, Erin. Thank you for allowing me to run my mouth for a little bit. And follow me on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie. Things are getting weird on twitter.com. Like, it's kind of becoming the neo-Nazi app. And yeah. I'm still there though, for now, until they like shut it down. Like, I've looked into Blue Sky. I do have a Blue Sky account, not for, this, but I have one, and I don't know if I like it all that much yet. Nothing will really compare. I mean, it looks the same UI-wise, but whatever. I could talk about this on a different episode. Follow me on Twitter. Because if you're not following me on Twitter, say it with me, you're only getting half the story. And that reminds me, I think, December-ish is when, it's almost main season Drag Race time. So that'll be fun, I think. Hopefully. I don't know. I feel like I've been, like, drag raced out after this last season. Weirdly. I don't know why. Whatever. Anyways, I'm gone. I have to go. Oopsie.